Now, my friends, sometimes the person you have to take responsibility for in developing potential is yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Other people may speak into your life. Other people may identify or observe things about you, but you are the only one who can confirm your strengths, your desires, and align your career path to those strengths. Welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast, where you will get encouragement, strategies, all the things you need to love your work life. This is about transformational, strength-based coaching for career, for leadership, for life. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Let's get started. So I've been seeing Marcus Buckingham in my LinkedIn news feed lately. Don't know why, don't know how those algorithms work, but for whatever reason, he's in my news feed. I've been watching his little 1, 2, 3-minute videos, and they've been so inspiring and have reminded me so much of why I do what I do, why I love people, and why I have a heart for both business and people. One time I got coached by Rob Bell. It was during the pandemic, and he couldn't do his usual on-site events. So he was doing these events where he and 10 people could get together on Zoom and ask questions and listen to his I don't think he would call it coaching, but listen to the questions that he asked and get some insights from him. And he said something to me that I will never forget, that again, at that time, reinforced what I was doing. And he said, Elissa, you're in the corporate world, but you have a huge heart. And we don't always put those two things together, right? The corporate world feels like a hard, cold place, and there's so much backlash now. We don't want to talk about corporate world being family because it's not family, right? You can't depend on your workplace like family. Now, you might say it's like family if you come from a dysfunctional family, because workplaces can be kind of dysfunctional. But I love that idea of bringing heart to the corporate world. And for me, making it about heart means looking for people's potential and helping them develop that potential. There's a really great quote by Brené Brown, and it is, "A leader is anyone who takes responsibility for finding the potential in people and processes and who has the courage to develop that potential." Now, my friends, sometimes the person you have to take responsibility for in developing potential is yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Other people may speak into your life. Other people may identify or observe things about you, but you are the only one who can confirm your strengths, your desires, and align your career path to those strengths. Sometimes the voice of other people can actually put us in the wrong direction. What if you come from a family or a culture that insists that you go in this direction because that is prestigious or something, but yet your natural inclinations wouldn't really have you going that way? That's why we all have to take responsibility. And let's be real, taking responsibility like that for your career takes courage. And so, speaking of Marcus Buckingham, seeing his videos reminded me of this great book I read by him and the psychologist Donald Clifton. It's called Now Discover Your Strengths. And then it's followed up by a book called Go Put Your Strengths to Work. And so maybe I'll pull some snippets from that book and talk about that on the next podcast, because we can learn a lot of things about ourselves, but then we have to go out and do something about it, right? That's the looking for the potential and then going out and developing it and bringing all this stuff out of yourself. One of the results of the research that Marcus Buckingham and Donald Clifton did is the Strength Finders assessment. And if you haven't done it, I recommend it. It's actually my second favorite one, because my first favorite is the one I use in my coaching business. But man, Strength Finders is a close second. And I read my strengths on a regular basis. I go back and refresh myself with, hey, these are my top 5. This is what I do. I'm reminding myself, and through that reminding, continuing to bring those strengths out. So what I want to help you with today is to help you determine if your work or your career is aligned with your strengths. Is what you're doing attached to the innate talents and strengths that you possess? Now, you may have developed skills, you may have accumulated experience, but that's not innate talents and strengths. Those are two different things. And as I walk you through these ways to determine if your work or career is aligned with your strengths, I think you'll start to see the difference. So what are the ways that you can determine if your work is aligned with your strengths? Well, the first thing is you look forward to going to work. You don't have Sunday scaries. You actually are excited and anticipating work versus dreading it. If you feel that way about what you do, that you look forward to it, it's a really good indicator that your career is tapping into those natural talents, those behavioral strengths. This isn't personality. This is the way you're wired as a person. So looking forward to something, having emotional ties, and being engaged emotionally in what you do is a really, really good sign of alignment. So, a check-in question for yourself is, do you feel a sense of anticipation and eagerness before starting your workday? Are there things that you're looking forward to? Are there things that you're excited to participate in? That is a key component of ensuring that your work and career is aligned with your strengths. The next one is that you consistently experience flow. Now, if you haven't studied flow states and you like to kind of go down a rabbit hole like I do, this is a fascinating thing to look into, to study. And there's people who basically have done their life's work on flow by studying athletes and people who get into these states of seamless perfection and intuition. As a worker bee inside an organization, you can tell if you're in a state of flow because there's a sense of timelessness and deep focus when working. Time flies. You feel absorbed and immersed in the work. And sometimes it'll even feel effortless, even if it's challenging. I can remember times when I was creating storyboards for a season of product development, and it was a challenge for sure, but there was also a certain effortlessness about it that told me I was in my strength zone because I was experiencing flow. So a check-in question for you in terms of, are you experiencing this, is, when was the last time you were so engaged in your work that you lost track of time? If you're looking at the clock all the time, if you're waiting for the end of the day or you're waiting for the weekend, and that's something that's happening on a regular basis, you're not engaged in your work, which is a clue that your work is not aligned with your innate talents and strengths. Here's a third one that can help you decide if you have those alignments between your talents, your strength characteristics, and the work you do on a daily basis. According to Marcus Buckingham and Donald Clifton, talent accelerates learning. So if you find that you're picking up on certain skills really quick and it doesn't require a bunch of effort, you're actually attracted to it and things just come to you really naturally, you're just like, oh my gosh, I get this. You get these light bulb moments. That is a good indication that you are in your strength zone. We've all had those times where learning did not feel stressful. Maybe you're like me and you've had those times where learning wasn't stressful. I can think of when I was pivoting from product development to marketing. I found that I gravitated to that easily when I sought out things to confirm what I was thinking or to level up or learn more. It was effortless. And that's a good indication for you, is that if you're attracted to something and you learn those new skills associated to that adjacency or whatever, that is a clue for you. So here's your check-in question. Are there aspects of your job that others find difficult, but you find naturally easy or enjoyable? Something to think about. When I'm coaching people, I can tell you I have clients who love the numbers and I have clients who don't want to do anything with numbers or details. Nothing wrong with either person, but they need a job that leverages those tendencies and, I'll put another spin on it, actually requires those tendencies to create success in the role. Here is a fourth idea. When you're doing your work and your work is aligned with your strengths, you feel energized by it, not drained. This doesn't mean that there aren't going to be difficulties at times. However, even when you run into a challenge or some of those tough moments that we all experience, it's not depleting. You're actually being energized, even when the overall energy gain is a sign of alignment. So think about the things that you do on a regular basis, which things feel depleting upon their completion and which things feel energizing upon their completion. The check-in question is, do you feel more energized or more drained at the end of most work days? If you feel more drained, it is very possible that you are not in alignment, that the work you're doing, that the career path you've been on is not aligned with your natural strengths. As I was thinking about this and thinking about this podcast episode, I was super curious to dig a little deeper and do some more research and put a poll out there on LinkedIn. And one of the things I asked is, well, what's the latest research? Because this book was written a while back. So I said, okay, well, what is Gallup saying about this? Because they put out a State of the American Workforce report every year. Here's what they said, a little shocking. Only about 2 in 10 employees strongly agree that they get to do what they do best every day at work. That means 80% of people may not be working in roles and doing functions in their job that align with their natural strengths and talents. That is super, super sad. So I decided, hey, I'm going to get out to my network and I'm going to ask the question. So the poll I put out there is, which statement best describes your current experience at work? The first one, I feel energized most days. The second option was good at my job, but discontented. The third one was I'm surviving, not thriving. And the last one was, I feel totally out of sync. Well, guess what, my friends? The alignment of that poll result to what Gallup's research says is right there. Only 24% of people said they feel energized most days. Another 24% said, I'm good at my job, but I feel discontented. 38% said, I'm surviving, not thriving. And then 15% said, I feel totally out of sync. This is a state that no one should be in. It just breaks my heart when I see people having this kind of experience at work, because the reality is we are wired for community and contribution, and we have different areas of our life that we get that sense of community and contribution, and a big chunk of it, 30% of your life, happens at work. It should be a place where you get that sense of community and contribution and energy. It shouldn't be a drain. So I hope that you will play this episode back, go back through all of the check-in questions, and be really honest with yourself. Don't be afraid of being honest with yourself. In fact, give yourself permission to be brutally honest. Remember that Brené Brown quote I shared at the beginning? That's the courage part. Having the courage to look within and to see your own potential and then do something about it. Because if you aren't loving it, then there's a good chance that you're not in your strength zone. But here's the good news. Finding something that is aligned with your strength zone, making a career pivot, making some kind of a transition, doesn't mean you have to start over. You're not suddenly going from 15 years in finance to an entry-level job somewhere. Not a single client that I've ever worked with who decided, hey, it's time for me to make a change, ever went backwards. It just doesn't happen. I want you to believe that for yourself. And of course, you know where to find me if you want to talk about this. If you want to put some time on my calendar or something, just go to my LinkedIn profile. You'll find me there. There's actually a little button right at the top to schedule some time. All right, my friends, please, please, please align yourself with your strengths. You deserve to do a job that is leveraging all your strengths and talents. You deserve to have an experience at work that feels satisfying and fulfilling, and you should enjoy the rewards personally and professionally that all of that can bring you. All right, I'll talk to you again soon. If you like listening to this podcast, I invite you to visit the Love Your Work Life website at elissashuck-careercoach.com. On the site, you're going to find free resources and information about all of my coaching programs, everything you need to land a great job, advance your career, and lead and build an awesome team. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and don't forget to follow me on LinkedIn.